Ooh, somebody's hungry. And I am. But I'm going to start this morning. I'm going to start this podcast. And I first want to say, welcome to the first live podcast from Real Life Coco TV podcast. Coco TV, aka it's me. Um, this is going to be the first show of many. And please excuse how I look. Um, I actually look how I feel regarding this um, story. I was going to wait to see if people were to come on here, but at the same time, it's okay. I just want to put my story out. I want to be heard. I want you to know about family betrayal where there's no loyalty. So I want you to like and subscribe to this channel. This is going to be part one. And y'all, please forgive me. Oh, look, I'm just getting off. I'm tired. I work overnight, so bear with me. But I'm going to take my time and I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. So once again, like, share, and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. But it's going to be one of many real life stories. So I created um, Coco TV podcast because I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to be able to vent. When you're an introvert and you're a loner, you have to be able to talk to somebody, something. You need an outlet. But hello everyone, and thank you for coming on to my live, to my podcast. Please forgive me how I look. I look how I feel regarding this story that I'm going to tell. I'm not excited about telling you guys about the betrayal and the loyalty regarding family, but I feel like it had to be heard. Somebody got to say it because family can be very dysfunctional, and I hate to say it, but my family is. So we're here today because my aunt is sleeping with my ex-husband, somebody who I was still dealing with, who I was still intimate with, who I was still seeing. And what's crazy about it, my favorite aunt. You know how you always have that favorite family member, your favorite big brother, sister, your uncle, your cousin. I mean, you always have that favorite one person in your family, your go-to person. That was her. And what I mean by this was my favorite aunt, I looked up to her like she was everything. She was beautiful. Um, she used to borrow my clothes. We were close. There were times that um, we eventually ran into each other because we did the same things at one time. She was a stripper. Matter of fact, she was the first stripper or dancer. I'm gonna have to be careful with some of the things that I say on here because I don't want them to block my story, because it's crazy, because I've tried to go live on TikTok, on other channels, and they violate me and I'm doing nothing, and it's so much stuff going on other platforms. But when I go to tell my story, but you always have people out here looking at what you're talking about and going in and blocking you because they don't want you to tell your story, your truth. But she was the very first female in Detroit, because I'm from Detroit. And if hey is, let me see, hi, hello. I see everybody on here. And I don't mind everybody commenting or whatever, saying what you have to say. Just be respectful, please, because I will block you quick. Like I said, I don't care if y'all talking about how I look. I just got to work. I work overnight in a hospital. I'm tired. And it's really, I don't want to tell this story, but I feel like I need to. Um, so like I said, my aunt is sleeping and still is. This is almost 3 years now, and I'm bringing this up because it's still going on. Okay, it's still going on, and I don't expect them to change what they're doing, stop what they're doing. All I want to do, and all I thought I would be, was respected as a family member, as your blood, as your niece. So my aunt, we were so close to, like I say, she was the very first female in Detroit that ever danced with a chair on the ceiling at Tony Julian's on 7 Mile. So if anybody is here that's from Detroit, that back in the 80s and 90s, TJ's on 7 Mile in the Lodge, yeah. Devastating Dee Dee. Very well known dancer. Very well known dancer. Hey, sweetheart. You know what, Star? You're going to get blocked. It is too early for you. And let me tell you something about me. I go in, I love to roast people. You don't want to come to my channel with the nonsense. But anywho, I'm ignoring. Hold on. Let me block. See if I can go in here and block people. Okay. So yeah, anybody that come on here and that is disrespectful, I'm blocking you. I don't have time. So like I said, this is going to be part 1 of this story, because this is long. But like I said, she's a very well-known dancer in Detroit. Was back in the 80s and 90s. Her name was Devastating Dee Dee. The first female that created dancing on the ceiling in a chair off the pole. So yeah, it sounds like, how'd she do it? But baby, she created it. So she's well known, beautiful, beautiful lady. So I thought. So anywho, I'm gonna have to take y'all back a little bit, and then I'll fast forward it to where we are today, and how I found out that my aunt was sleeping with my ex-husband, who, by the way, she actually came to my wedding. She stood right there. She hugged me, she kissed me, she hugged him, she kissed him. I love y'all. I'm so happy for both of y'all. My favorite niece, this is my favorite nephew. All I can think now is that you sleeping with your favorite nephew. It's sickening to me. Like, the thought of her even sleeping with him. And all I can think of now is, were you sleeping with him then? Before I got married? Because I met him in the strip club. Yeah, get juicy. I met him in the strip club, but I met him in a different setting. She worked in the all black clubs. I worked in the white clubs. See, I was a nerdy girl when I started off dancing. I was a little too good for the black. I didn't know nothing about the black clubs. The black clubs were a little hard for me. I started off in silos on 8 Mile at a little place that looked just like a little house. And it wasn't but one or two black girls in there. And I was one of them. Coco, the original. There are a few Coco. You got Coco Chanel, Coco Beware. You got all type of, but Coco, very well known in Detroit. I am. But I'm the good girl. I'm the good Coco. I was never out there like that. Her, she was very well known. Everybody knew her. But I met him in the club as well. And when I seen this man, I knew that I was going to marry him. First time I saw him, I went home and I told a good friend of mine, I'm going to marry that man. And lo and behold, I would marry him. Now, I was with him for almost 14 years. The first 5, we were together. And after that, he would be locked up. He went to prison. When he went to prison, things changed. And I eventually end up having a child by my best friend. And he hated my best friend. And I'm not ashamed of anything that I did. And I'm woman enough, like I'm telling y'all here on my live. And I know it's being recorded. People gonna watch it. People gonna talk about it. I'm not ashamed of anything that I did, because at the time that I was with my best friend, my son's father, while my husband was locked up in prison, I was going through so much. My best friend had been brutally murdered. R.I.P. Money Love. Brutally murdered. And it took 2 years before I could even say her name to even talk about it, because the way she was murdered. Then after that, my other best friend was murdered, probably my matron of honor to the man that I married was murdered. A hit and run on 7 Mile. Some people were drag racing once we left the club, because I was a bartender. She was a waitress. We worked at Tiger's Lounge. And they killed my best friend. So I was going through so much while this man was in prison. And mind you, I'm an introvert. I don't have a lot of friends. And when I met him, I was going through something. So he really pulled me out and protected me from a lot. I was going through domestic violence. I had almost lost my life, and I met this man, and he became my savior. And I knew when I met him, I was going to marry him. Love at first sight. He was older than me, and I told my good friend, I'm going to marry this man. And I did. However, like I said, he went to prison. And I was so depressed. I was thinking about doing all type of things to myself. Doing all type of harm to myself. Especially after my best friend was killed. It's like there was a part of me that was just ripped away from me in a brutal way. And y'all, people don't understand, when you're an introvert and you're alone, and when you're a true introvert, the Gemini that I am, when you have that safe place, that one person or one thing taken away from you, it's hard. especially in a brutal way. And my best friend was brutally murdered. Her birthday was the same day as my birthday. We're both Geminis. Her birthday is May 29th. My birthday is May 29th. So my best friend was brutally murdered. And after that, it took me 2 years before I can even say her name. Before I would even leave the house, it took me, I stayed in my room for months. I had to send my kids away because I could not eat, I could not function. And then my other best friend was hit and killed, my matron of honor. So y'all have to understand that being an introvert, you don't have a lot of friends. You have these friends that you've had for years, that has grew up around your family, that has grew up around your kids. When I say my best friends were everything to me, they ate at the table with my family, with my grandparents. They were at my home when I weren't at home. So, like I said, when he went away, when he got locked up, and this happened to my best friends, and I was out here by myself with my kids. It took me having the faith that I have in God, praying, and the love that I have for my children to keep me here. And then that's when my son father arrived, my best friend at that time. And of course, you always talk to your best friends. This is when you actually, when your best friends, when you need them. When it's sad to say, but me and my best friend had a child. And the type of woman that I am, even though, because I always loved my husband was a man that I saw love at first sight. Everybody knew how much I loved this man. So I knew I had to go and tell him before he came home, before he was released from prison. I had to tell this man that I had a child on him. I had to tell him that because I did not want him to find out that I had a child while he was locked up. And when he came home, because people talk, I didn't want nobody to tell him, hey, your wife had a baby. I didn't want that to happen. So I told him that I had a child. I did. It took everything in me. I was hurt. I was so hurt to tell this man what I had done. But one thing about me, I'm going to tell you, nobody will never hold nothing over my head. I would never hurt anybody intentionally. It took everything in me to tell this man I knew I was going to break his heart. He was upset. He was very upset. And at first, a few days later, he came to me and told me he loved his wife. He want to be with his wife. He gonna make it work because he knew everything I had been through. But he couldn't do it because my son looked just like his daddy, and he couldn't deal with the fact that he would have to see that man every day through my son. And he knew that I actually cared about my best friend. My best friend was somebody that I dated prior to. And one thing about me, I've never had a big body count. I can count on, I can tell you my body count in the 55 years I've been around. I can tell you my body count. And he knew that I cared about this man. It ain't too many, wasn't too many that I cared about. He knew because I told him I only had feelings for you, him, and one other person in my life. So he knew that I cared about this man. So the fact that he knew that I cared about this man, this little bitty face walking around here, running around here looking like this man, he got to see this little bitty man and take care of this little man. He could deal with it. And I respected it. So he went his way. I went my way. He filed for a divorce. And I moved to Houston. Now, like, share, and subscribe. Because this, like I say, I don't know, this may be part 3, 4, 5, or 6. But like, share, and subscribe. So like I said, once we had a conversation, he couldn't deal with my baby. We got a divorce and I moved to Houston. Been here 13 years. Now, in the mix of me moving to Houston, devastating, Dee Dee was married. Now, her husband, the family really didn't even like him. We didn't really care for her husband because we felt like he was controlling. He was telling her what to do. He had changed her life. He had totally changed who she was. And what I mean by controlling, he stopped the way she dressed. He changed that. Oh, she couldn't wear her little short dresses no more. Tell you something, that woman, and I would never call her my aunt intentionally. She does not deserve that. That's my mother's sister. I would never call her aunt. I call her something else, but she always used to wear her mini skirts, her little short, or whatever. She always dressed very sexy. Oh, when she married him, he said no more. He said no more. I gotta blow my nose, y'all. I'm in here crying. I'm not supposed to be crying. I'm not. But I don't know. I'm looking a hot mess. I don't care. I just got off work, and this is how I feel telling this story about being betrayed. But yeah. We didn't care for her husband because we just, and he also came from the bar scene. Now, from what I heard, what I hear, first of all, everybody has a past. Don't judge me. All I have is baby wife. But from what I heard, he used to be in the streets. And when I say in the streets, y'all know what I mean. He was one of them. And they pumed him up. Yeah, almost lost his life. They almost unalived him. And he wanted to change his life. And I commend him. And actually, he did. And I know that because I follow him. And hopefully he's watching this, so he will be watching this. And hopefully I'll get him to come on and I'll interview him because I want him to tell his story regarding their situation, what happened with them. But anywho, but from my understanding, her husband was one of them. They almost unalived him, and that's why he completely changed his life. He gave his life to the Lord, and he wanted her to also give her life to the Lord. So this is why when he married her, it was no, you're not doing this, you're not going here, you're not going there. And we as family, we didn't know. We didn't know. We on the outside looking in. We just thought he was controlling because she couldn't eat certain foods. She wasn't eating no pork. She couldn't eat nothing but fish. She couldn't do a lot of things. She didn't go out. She didn't do anything. This man controlled her. And she was going to church faithfully. Not only was she doing that, she also moved into his house, his mother and father's house, into a bedroom where her and him and her daughter was staying, which blew me away because this is a woman, a beautiful woman that was making money. She's very well known, devastating Dee Dee. In Detroit, she was very well known back in the 80s, 90s, and maybe 2000s, but she was hot back in the 80s and 90s. That's when the money was out here. That's just when the money was real. But everybody knew her. So, from my understanding, they got a divorce. When I moved down here, she got a divorce. Now, fast forwarding to how I found out that they were messing around. My aunt and my ex-husband, whom I was dating now, yes, we were divorced. And he had remarried. I was down here. I had been down here maybe 2 years in. And he reached out to me. He texted me and he told me he wanted to see me or whatever. And I would fly back and forth into Detroit and I would see him. Remind you, I still have his last name. I still do to this day. And I was single. Why wouldn't I go back and see my ex-husband? Why wouldn't I go back and date my ex-husband, somebody that I've been with for over 15 years at this point? So I was still seeing him. I would fly. If I was in Detroit 3 to 4 days a week, I was with him at least once or twice a week when I went there. And of course, we were intimate. I went to his house in Redford. And which was crazy, when I went there, he had remarried. And I was shocked to find out that this ninja had the nerve to remarry with the same colors that we got married in: black, gold, and cream, and white. And I hit him upside his head like, what are you doing? Really, dude? What? That's the color she wanted, but that's the color we got. What? Men are so goofy. So we were still seeing each other. Even though we were divorced, we started back seeing each other, messing around. He was single, I was single. I'm still Mrs. Miller. Still has his last name. So I would go back and forth in and out of town. And then one day he reached out to me. He was like, hey, your aunt is having a party. I said, what? Yeah, your aunt invited me to a party. Did she? Yeah. First of all, in my mind, I'm thinking, how she get your phone number to invite you to anything? My mother immediately came to my head. Like, did my mama get her his number? That's one. Two, why don't I know anything about the party? Now, on Facebook, my Facebook following is small. It's my family, my few friends, and my clients, because I have a business. So all that follow me on Facebook, I know who my followers are. So I'm like, and she was on my Facebook, and I'm like, why didn't I see her post anything about her having a party on Facebook? Why didn't anybody tell me? So he said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. And the way he said it was like he was jazzy with it. Yeah. She having a party. She ain't tell you? No, she ain't tell me. Okay. I called my mother a couple days later. Mom, did you get your sister his number? No, I ain't give it. I said, you sure? You know he got two phones. Oh, no, I ain't. I said, okay. I say, Ma, something ain't right. You ain't give her the number. I ain't give her the number. How she get the number? And what is she looking him up? I mean, I'm confused. Remind you, I'm still in Houston. Mama say, I don't know. So a few days went past again, and he called me, and we're talking, and we having a conversation. He like, yeah, I went to the party, and it was this, that, and the other. I say, oh, you went to the party? He said, yeah, and such and such was there, such and such was there. Your auntie was there, your other aunt was there. And, okay. So now I'm confused. I get off the phone, I call my mama, like, Ma, so such and such was at the party. He went to the party, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Yes, she told me she saw him, and I don't know how she got the number, but I didn't give it to him. But yeah, he was at the party, and I heard blase split. And let me tell you something about your girl. And if you follow me, like, share, subscribe on this channel, you will find out more about me with this podcast that I was born clairvoyant. To know me is to know. And at that moment, he told me. It came over me. God told me. They messing around. Just like that. They messing around. Whispered in my ear, and I told my mom, I say, Mom, they messing around. No, you think she ain't, no, you think so? I said, Ma, they messing around. I told my mother, I said, they're messing around, Ma. She said, you think so? Okay. Yes. I say, Ma, watch it. I feel it. You know, he talks to me. He wouldn't do, I don't think so. Ma, they messing around. Nobody believed me. I told my daughter, because my daughter loves her stepdad. Loves him. He been in her life since she was little. Loves him. And I told her, I said, something going on. I said, everything is a secret. He know everything. Then I go to her page. She don't have nothing on her page as far as with her birthday. Nothing about a party. No pictures, no nothing. But he telling me he took pictures. He got pictures. Did I want to see the pictures? I said, yeah, let me see him. Oh, I show him to you. Well, let me see the pictures. He never would show me the pictures. And I said, something ain't right. So me talking to them, telling them that they mess around, nobody believed me. And then boom, my uncle dies. My uncle dies. And I told my mom and I told my daughter, I said, now, he does not know. Mind you, I was married to this man for a very long time. But I said, he does not know this uncle. He know my other uncle. He's very close with one of my uncles. But he does not know this uncle. So, there's no reason for him to be at the funeral. If he show up to this funeral, who you think invited? And don't you invite him, and don't you say a word. I told my mom and I told my daughter, don't you say a word. Because he don't know this uncle. If he show up, who you think he coming with? Who you think invited him? So don't tell him, don't nobody say nothing. And this same time when this was going on, I was moving from one apartment to another apartment. I had just been down here in Houston a few years. I'm just getting my foot down here, getting my feet wet. And I could not leave because I had just moved into my apartment. And you know, when you move into an apartment, you have so many days to do your move in and do your paperwork. And it was just a nightmare. So I was going though. I was like this close to booking my flight. I had checked the flights. I had my everything in the cart. I was finna pay for it. And at that time, I was dating some idiot down here. Um, I was me and my son's father was trying to get back together. Um, and I was just, it was so much going on. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go to the funeral because I was gonna go, but it was just too much going on. And I said, I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna move into my new place. I need to move. I need to make sure I'm moved in by this certain date. And I'm not gonna go to the funeral. But I told my mom and I told my daughter, just call me if he's there, if you see him. And he has no reason to be there. So you know who he's going to be with. And that was like a Sunday. And 2 days later, the day of the funeral, I never forget. I'll never forget. I was doing something, moving, unpacking boxes. It's probably around about 6 or 7. It was in the evening. And my phone rang. And it's my daughter. And I pick up the phone. Hello? And it's my daughter. And she goes, Ma, Ma. Oh my God, Ma, you was right. You was right, Ma. And I'm like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong? Ma, oh my God. She breaking down, get ready to cry. I say, what? He there, ain't he? And she was like, Ma, he's here, Ma. You was right. He here with her, Ma. Oh my God. I just walked up on them. And the way she was talking to him, the way she was talking to him, Ma, you know they in a relationship, Ma. Oh my God. My daughter was distraught. She was crying. I said, well, who are you with? She said, I'm with my cousin. And I'm not going to name no names here. But like I said, I keep receipts. This is part 1. And she said, I'm with her. And I was like, she said, I didn't say nothing to her. I told her after the fact. And she was like, well, why didn't you say nothing? I would have said something. And I told her, I said, why didn't you walk up on him and say nothing? She said, Ma, I was so just distraught. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even, I was speechless. I just was staring at them. And she said, and he saw me. Because when I walked up, they were talking. And I walked up behind her. She didn't see me. But he was unpacking something out the car. And she kept telling, and I'm just going to use a fake name. She kept saying, Ren, Ren, you know what I want you to do? Ren, you hear me, Ren? And that's not the name. I'm just making a name up. But the way she was talking to him, my daughter was like as if she was running him. And finally he looked up and saw her and just, it's like he seen a ghost. And she said she turned around and walked away and was crying. Broke my daughter's heart just like he broke my heart. And it broke my heart far as it's not so much him, it's her. My daughter was so hurt. So that's how I found out they were messing around at my uncle's funeral. Can you believe that? She had the nerve to bring my ex-husband, who I was still involved with, to my uncle's funeral. My family. Yeah, he was dumb enough to go. I know a lot of y'all like, he really went? Because a lot of people tell me that he really went. I wouldn't have showed up, even if I was messing with it. There's no way he's a that I would have went. But yeah, he did. So now I'm in. My daughter's hysterical, crying. My cousin's like, oh my God, you want me to say? Like, nope, I know what to do. I went on Facebook, and when I say I lit Facebook up, the video is still there, by the way. I lit Facebook up, baby. Family and friends, and and it still is, to let family know what type of family members we have. If she'll do this to me, her favorite niece that was there for her when nobody was, I'm talking about this woman used to be one of those. Used to stay tweaking, stay gone up all night. I watched her kids for her. The one. I watched her child for her while she stayed out in the streets all night getting high. I did that. And this is the thanks that I get. You borrowed my clothes. You were at my wedding. I'm just saying, this was my favorite aunt. And it's crazy because I knew the type of person she was. I did. I just didn't think she would do it to me. Because I had already knew she slept with one of my other boyfriends. She slept with E. She slept with E. She didn't know that I know. I knew she slept with E. And it's crazy because she slept with him. She didn't think I know. And I'm your niece. That was my boyfriend for years. And you slept with him. Then she's a serial cheater. Damn near every relationship she's been in, she's cheated. I know the type of person she is. Even when I was young, I'm talking about, I can remember as young as when I was 12. I never forget, we stayed on Wykes. We stayed on Wykes. I had to be about 12 or 13. She was probably about 16 or 17. And I got sick in school. And this when they would send you home, you was able to walk home from school when you didn't feel good. I was sick. As long as they call your parents and told, hey, can we send her home? She not feeling, they would send you home back in the day. And I left early one day. I was sick. And I walked home. And at this time, me and my mom was staying with my grandmother. It was my grandmother, my mom, her sister, which is her, my aunt. And we were all staying in this house. And I went home from school. And when I walked in, there was nobody there. It was quiet. The house was empty. I knew my grandmother was working. My mother was at work. And I thought she was at school at this time. She was going to school, modern dance. That's how she was able to get up on that ceiling with that chair. But I came home early one day, and as I walked into the house, the phone was ringing. Ring, ring, just ringing. And nobody's in the house. And it was in the back room. And when I bust through the back room door, when I bust in, there she was. Well, there he was. The first thing I saw was scared the hell out of me. That's why I can remember it just like it was yesterday. It scared the hell out of me. I busted in the door, and there was this grown old man. And I say old because he was so hairy. He looked like a monster. As a 12 or a 13-year-old girl, to see this hairy ass man. And he looked like, I forget that back in the day, the man rest in peace. But he had used to smoke the cigar. He had a bald spot in his head, and he had the bushy eyebrows and bushy beard. Um, but he had hair like that. He had hair all over his body, and he was so hairy he had hair on his butt. He had hair back there, and her legs was up in the V, and he was all in. And I opened the door. When I saw this monster, I slammed the door and I went back out, and I never told nobody because it scared me so bad. And she came out and was like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I think the way that I looked, she could tell that I wasn't telling nobody nothing. And now that I think about it, that man was grown. She had to be, if I was 12 or 13, she had to be about 16 or 17. That man was every bit about at least 40. And it makes me think, and most of the time I'm right because he tells me things, but it makes me think that that was her mother's boyfriend she was sleeping with. I believe that was her mother's boyfriend that she was sleeping with, that I had came home and bust the door down and caught them. So that was only the beginning. There was another time that I caught her. Well, I didn't catch her. She got caught. Um, Her first child's father, I'm going to say Jay. And I love Jay. Jay was a good guy. He loved her. Let me tell you, this woman has had so many good guys, nice looking guys that were good to her. And she's dogged every one of them, cheated on them. But we went out of town. Half of my family is here in Houston. Half of my family are in Michigan. At this time, they were just relocating to Houston. Um, we came down here. I'll never forget this. This is a story that broke my heart because I came here. My cousin came here. We were young. We were, like I say, we was probably about 14 at this time. And we all came down here, for the summer. And so she came down here because her sisters them had just relocated down here. So she came down here to see her sisters. And upon coming down here, she drove and we drove with other family members. Well, a day later, once we got there, um, lo and behold, Jay pops up. And we're excited because me and my cousin, that's her boyfriend. We know him. The family know him. He's a good guy. That's her daughter's father. Like, we love Jay. Jay was good. Jay, let me tell you something. Jay was a good dude. And what I mean by a good dude, this man took me to see Prince. When I was 14, I used to love Prince. He bought a ticket. And I think they fell out. He bought the ticket for her to take her to the concert. And because of what she did, he took me instead, 14 years old, going to see Prince. And we had some good seats. This man was good. Bought me a t-shirt. I mean, he was a good man. Well, like I say, we get to Houston. A day and a half, almost 2 days later that night, That next morning, Jay pop up. When Jay pop up, like, hey, Uncle Jay, what's going on? His face, you can see in his face, he distraught. She pop up. When she pop up, she with another dude. Oh my God. When I say it was a big argument, him and him and the guy, this woman then left her man and came out of town with another dude. And when I say Jay's heart was broken, this man cried to where I cried. I was so heartbroken to see this man cry and just torn apart over her. And you was just with him back home. Like, what happened? So he was like, I'm leaving and we're done and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I was 12 years old. I'm sorry, I was 14, but I knew wrong from right and right from wrong. And I said, you know what? God damn it, I'm leaving with him too. And when I said I was leaving, my cousin said, I'm going too. We jumped our little young butts right in the back of the car with Jay, and we drove all the way home from Houston to Detroit. That man cried all the way home over her. He cried all the way home over her. I was so angry because I couldn't believe, why would you do this man like that? He take care of your family. He take care of you. He take care of his child. Like, what is wrong with you? So I know what type of person she was. I just didn't think she would do that to me, her favorite niece. And what's crazy is, prior to me finding out that she was sleeping with my ex-husband, who I was still dealing with, intimate with, still seeing when I flew in and out of town. I had just saw her a month prior to me finding out. She reached out to me, hey niece, what are you doing? When you coming back in town? I miss you. I love you. I haven't seen you. I want to see you. I'm like, I'll be back in town such and such day. I want to see you too, auntie. I love you. I said, well, let's go out and, dinner. Well, I ain't got it and blah, blah. She never has anything. She's broke. Which I don't understand. That a woman in her 60s, you should have something to show for. If not your own place, if not a decent job, if not a decent car, you should have something to show for it. She didn't. So what her favorite niece do? When I come to town, auntie, I'll let you know and just meet me out, and I got it. So I came in town a month prior to finding out that they were together. Met her out at the bowling alley out on the 96 freeway. If y'all from Detroit, y'all know where I'm talking about. Met that woman out there, bought her drinks, bought her something to eat. And in hindsight now, thinking about it, I feel like she wanted to tell me then that she was digging on him, but she didn't know how to tell me. Thank you, baby. I try to be strong, but this shit is hard. But I feel like now this is my closure. And I'm only saying this because I feel like family should know. But the fact that I met her out a month too, finding out that they were together, it makes me think, did she want to tell me that they were seeing each other? Did she want to? She was interested in him? I might have respected it more instead of finding out the way that I did. And it was crazy when we did find out about it at the funeral. My brother called me. It's like, what's going on, sis? Because I'm on Facebook going in. I'm telling everything, calling him all type of names, calling her all type of names. To where my brother said, what's going on? I said, I told y'all they was messing around. He said, sis, you think so? He said, wait a minute, let me go check it out. I'll investigate. I'm going to call you back. Call me back in the yeah, you right. Yeah, they together. I just found out. I walked up on him. And the crazy thing about it, at the funeral, my cousin goes off. Her son. Her son went off on her at the funeral. Oh, yeah. He made a scene to where everybody was looking around. Put my grandma in the hospital because the scene was so crazy. But yeah, her own son went off because the thing about it is she was able to get away with it to a certain extent because a lot of people didn't know my ex. Because once again, I'm an introvert. Once again, I don't hang around a lot of people. A lot of my family members, I don't have a lot of friends. I hang around certain family members, certain friends. I don't hang around a lot of people. And so she was able to bring him around her children because I don't deal with some of her children because they were younger than me. I dealt with my cousin who was my age. He knew who he was. See, I didn't hang around her like that. So at this funeral, and they walk up, and from what I heard, she was dressed with a little mini skirt on, honey, with at her brother's funeral looking like a thotty mo thot. But anyway, when she walked up with him, my ex-husband, her son turned around and was like, what are you doing? What are you talking? What are you doing? Wait, do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? What are you, man, yo, bitch, say, what are you doing? That's such and such. What are you, oh, he lost it. Mind your business. Don't worry about what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. Because you were wrong, auntie. And your son called you out. You were wrong. At my uncle's funeral, the audacity. So like I said, I know who this woman is. I just never thought she would have done it to me. And some of y'all might be like, well, yeah, he got something to do with it too. What about him? Yeah. He's nothing to me. He ain't to me. And at the end of it, the day, he's a man. A man. Nothing. That's what they do. That was supposed to be my aunt. My blood aunt. My mother's sister. My favorite aunt. Somebody that I've been there for, that I've did things for and gave things and had your back. Never turn my back on her. And this is what you do to me? I'm not worried about a man. It's her, my blood. And I feel like people like her, your blood, when they do things like this, they should be shunned. Yeah, they're family. We love you. But we're going to love you from afar. When we have family reunions, you need to be on that other side over there while we sitting over here. You don't belong over here with us. You belong over there on your own side. When you betray somebody, when you're disloyal, when it comes to family members, certain things, they should be shunned away from the family. If you touch a child, you should be shunned from the family. If you unalive a family member, you should be shunned. If you harm a family member, you should be shunned. If you cheat with a family member's spouse, partner, you should be shunned. So that's why I'm telling my story, because I feel like people like her should be shunned. And the sad part about it is she's not. That's why I say I have a dysfunctional family, because he should never be allowed my family out of respect for me, your blood. I don't get that. This man is still coming around my family, and I've heard stories. And if I find out what I'm hearing, it's going to be an end to a whole lot of stuff. And I'm going to life go on for me. I can't be around people like this. I can't. It's weird. It's crazy. And I can't trust you. I already have trust issues. If you do this to me, you would do it to somebody else. And like I said, I know who she is. She's a serial cheater. I can name a lot of people she's cheated on. And I have my receipts. But yet she'll tell you I did it, but I can guarantee you she doesn't have not one receipt. My own aunt talked against me to this man, lied on me to get this man, my ex-husband. My own aunt threatened to, she said she had her pew pew. She had that thing for me. So you gonna kill me for something that was legally mine, something that I still carry the last name to? Because I'm checking you? Because you disrespected me as my aunt, my blood aunt, who been around me ever since I was little. You wore my clothes. You brought things for me. I watched your kids while you got high, while you were gone all night. I introduced you to your last child's father. I was good to you, auntie. And this is how you repay me? And then you lied. It's okay. You went behind me. You took my sloppy seconds. But you lied to get what you wanted. Tell the truth. You didn't have to lie on me to get what you wanted. Because everybody know who you are, devastating DD. Everybody know who you are. You are a serial cheater. So like I said, y'all, it's part one. Oh, we got a whole lot more going on. I'm going to come back, like, share, and subscribe for part two. I got to get some rest. You watching me, you watching your girl, Coco TV. Real life. Real life. Anything I tell you, I have receipts. Believe that. When I came out with this, when I'm telling my story right now, I've been threatened to be sued, and I'm waiting. I am so waiting because I got receipts. It's going to get ugly. And I'm going on Judge Mathis. We going to keep it Detroit. I'm going on Judge Mathis. Believe that. So I'm not afraid of anything. Anything that I tell you, I keep receipts for. I have nothing to lie or deny. I have nothing to be ashamed of. That's why I'm telling my story. Like I said, I'm telling my story because I want people to know, family to know what type of family you have, what type of family you're in. Hide your man, hide your boyfriend. Don't trust her. Looks can be deceiving when it comes to family, dysfunctional families. So like I said, like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to do part two probably in a few days, maybe a few weeks. We'll see what happens, but it's definitely going to be a part two. This is the podcast. I'll have a phone number here so you can call in as well. We're going to get real. So like I said, like, share, and subscribe, guys. I gotta get some sleep. You know who you watching? You watching your girl. You watching me. You watching COCOTV. Real life podcast. I'm out of here. I gotta go now. I'll get some sleep. I'll see if it let me get out of here.